Welcome to BJJ Boost episode 6. We are on our 6th video, and last week we watched a competition video, and through that competition video, we kind of broke down what we took away from it. It was Tainan Del Pra. He did a no-gi match. If you want to watch that episode, you can find it on our YouTube channel. Today, we're going to dive into a gi competition match. I appreciate everybody that can't make the call that still watches it and gives me feedback and gets some type of value from watching these Zoom calls. And in the future, if you want to be part of these Zoom calls, just send us a message and we'll add your email to the weekly list. We do these calls every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Like I said, the whole goal of this call is just that we watch technique content and figure out how we can apply it to our games and how we can help ourselves and the students that we're involved with every week. It's been kind of cool to do these calls because it's held me more accountable to seeing technique, to analyzing the technique, and then throughout the week, becoming a better coach and a better practitioner and seeing how I actually have a focus through the week of whatever we kind of reviewed on applying that to our game and to my students' game. Let's get into this call. What did you guys feel like last week? You guys watched the video last week, and did you guys have anything? Let's just start doing like a recap of our week. So instead of like looking at maybe possibly did you apply whatever happened last week, but let's do a quick recap. So let's start with Eric. Let's get a recap from Eric on just basically how you feel like your jiu-jitsu week went last week, besides your black eye. Well, maybe you should tell your black eye.
That was towards the end of the week, but yeah, I trained Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. Gi and during the week, and then no gi on the weekend. Kind of balances it out for me. But yeah, I've been trying to work some of the stuff that we have watched and what I'm taking notes on. However, it's all situational based, so it depends on where I'm getting at and what that with my opponents and that. Um, I feel like it definitely gives me something, to aim for and to work for. However, I'm kind of combining that with with the other instruction that I'm getting from my instructor. Sometimes it's a little bit tough to juggle all of that stuff depending on what we're already working on in class. So, for instance, I try to apply most of it during our Sunday open mat. We do an hour-long open mat, and that is really where I can get my time in and just focus on my own thing. From there, I try to work on, the things that I've been, jotting down on my notes and trying to make some of that stuff happen. Sometimes it can be a little difficult. And yeah, of course, Sunday I did take an elbow to the eye. You can see here, just a nasty black eye. Didn't hurt too much, but boy, did that thing swell up. But
What
yeah,
do you feel
anyhow.
like is something that you did effectively last week in jiu-jitsu and something that you failed at last week?
Okay, so yeah, I've been from with our first video, I've been still trying to work on that headquarters stuff and passing from there and just trying to keep my base low and not be susceptible to sweeps. So I'm trying to work on some of that stuff with some of the guys, and some of the high level guys will might catch me in a sweep, and then I'm a little bit more productive, I would say, in achieving my goal with some of the newer belts with that. So I'm still working on that. And then also I've been trying to work some of the stuff that I picked up from the video last week, and just really trying to be on the attack all the time. I think if I hesitate too much, then I end up getting just mainly defense, not offense. So
Cool. You know, a fun fact is I've never had a black eye in 12 plus years of training or whatever.
oh wow.
I've tried so hard. Literally, did I not? Andrew tried to kill me like a month ago and still didn't get a black eye.
Yeah. I got like a little scar there permanently from that too.
Yeah, he just ran his head right into me for no reason.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. All right, Andrew, you're up.
So my week last week, pretty rough. Um,
You died on Wednesday.
yeah, so I only got to train one day last week. Tuesday, I wanted to, but I was still running a temperature. So come Wednesday, we did some Shark Tanks, and then I rolled a couple times. Yeah, I just genuinely felt terrible. What absolutely killed me that day was just my cardio, and then it was like I went into it and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pace myself and I'm gonna play slow, and then I played so slow that I got myself I remember Brandon I played so slow with my guard that Brandon instantly passed me, and I was like, well, now I got to speed it up, but then I speeded up and then I was just I just felt horrendous. So it was that day my cardio killed me because I was sick, and swear to God, I still can't breathe through my sinuses. It's terrible. But yeah, that day was it was still a good day for what it was, for what it was worth. It was still good. What failed me that day was cardio, and I'm trying to even remember because it's kind of that it's kind of like a blur
Kind
of
of like
something good that happened.
got in a gang war with 10 people trying to kill you at once.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what even what worked well that day. I mean, I probably ankle locked a few people. It's safe to say that I probably did. I just can't remember. Oh, I did hit I hit a really nasty Ezekiel on Elijah that day, and that
Oh,
was
that was right. I remember that
yeah.
role.
And
Elijah's
he
so hard to deal with.
he was yeah he is super skilled, and his pressure's really
For
good.
220, he moves insanely well.
Yes, that's another thing. I actually a lot of people I can just kind of I play speed, play outside passing and whatnot, or outside, inside knee cut down the middle, fast, and he is so fast that it's hard to deal with him. But and then it's once he gets on top, it's so hard for me to deal with because his pressure is fantastic, and he's really good at pressuring into your your butterflies and stuff and preventing you and just pressuring you down and slowly passing. But I did hit a really nasty Ezekiel on him. I remember that because he also texted me afterwards and he was like, "Now, my bad. When I tapped, I accidentally slapped you in the head." And he
Those are
apologized
the
to me
best snaps
after.
in the world.
Yeah, he apologized to me at 9 o'clock or something, and I didn't even read the text until the next morning, I think. But I thought that was a little funny, and it was a nice Ezekiel. So,
Awesome.
but other than that, my week was kind of a blur because I was felt like crap. So made the best of it and ready to get back to it this week. Hopefully better.
Oh man, my week's kind of a
Is
blur too.
is he are we sure he can't unmute or whatever like it was last week?
I think everyone's been able to unmute. I haven't done
Okay.
anything, but he would, I guess, comment in the chat. Yeah, like my week's been such a blur because right now I'm trying to figure out like how to rebrand both of the gyms, how to like improve the social media, how to improve the marketing and the advertising, and I'm spending like so much time, and it's been great because we've had Greg in our corner, and Greg's so good at like making all that stuff more professional. On that end, I really appreciate it. I've been diving into that. Then on top of it, like I had some insane rolls last week. Like, did you watch the roll between Elijah and I? It was like
On
five,
Wednesday?
yeah, on Wednesday.
I think so, yeah. I don't know though, because some of the time I was not was literally so sick.
You were
So
sitting over in the corner crying.
I wasn't crying, but I felt horrible.
I watched you cry for a little bit,
There's no cry.
but yeah, Elijah was like so close to scoring points on me. And,
Yeah,
he's getting to the point. It's funny when the hungry, like white and blue belts start figuring you out and they start catching ground on you. Because, like, you and Elijah both are getting to the point where if I can't just show up to you guys and
yeah,
just kind of like half-ass the way that I attack you guys. Like I
yeah,
have to kind of show up and genuinely be like very understanding of that if I make a mistake, I can really get caught or I can get swept and then I got to deal with some stuff. But he he almost scored points on me. It was like he got me to turtle and it was a weird match. It took like it went for 5 minutes of basically like me defending him until I finally somehow capitalized on it and got the points on top. So, but
Yeah.
it sucks. It sucks being 136 fighting 220.
No
I
kidding.
mean, like size matters and it sucks that it does, but it does. But no, like it was I had I mean, I don't know. I teach 16 classes a week and it's tough. I try to like balance it between if I roll one day, I try to take the next day off now and then I try to roll the next day. So I think like I rolled Monday, I rolled Wednesday, I rolled Thursday. I didn't train Friday, and then Saturday we had volleyball for my stepdaughter, and then Sunday I drove over to Indy to coach some of the students. So sometimes my weeks just become such a blur that it's hard to figure out what is what with jiu-jitsu. I have, I think, an incredible video for us today, a gi competition match. It's going to be very fast paced. There's going to be a lot of information coming at us. So if you guys have your notepads,
I'm
watch
just
the
gonna have
video.
to like mental note this.
You're going to mental note it. All right. Well, I'm appreciative that you're here.
I'm doing my best.
I watched this match when I was on my last volleyball trip with my stepdaughter when they were shopping and I was sitting out in the parking lot, but it was so fast paced that I want to watch it again. My guess is they didn't like the guard pull.
Is the like speed of the video modified?
No,
I don't know. It's appearing weird through my end.
what's it doing?
I think it's better now. Maybe it might just be lag.
Yeah, it might be because you're on your phone.
Yeah.
My guess is the guard pull was not typically if you put a knee down on the mat, you get penalized. But sometimes IBJJF is so annoying with the way that they do things. Interesting. If he came up, I'm so confused. If he came up for the advantage, why reset the match? Isn't it funny that no gi is so much more exciting than gi sometimes? Because the grip battle is just completely different.
Yeah, sometimes, although I feel like there's a lot of strategy here,
Yeah,
more grips, more things that you could impose your will on the other person.
it just slows so much things down. It's crazy sometimes.
Yes.
Oh, that was slick. I like that. Let's. So he
Just a
switched it
K
right,
guard.
huh?
Just a K guard.
Well, I think he switched to single leg X basically on the other side, but still
Yeah.
having that cross side leg.
It's just single leg X from one side to the other, right?
Yeah, and
Way we call it.
the cool thing about it is it gives him the, like the other, we were watching a video a couple weeks ago, right? Where the focus was that you need to control the other leg, right? You need to control, let's see, basically you need to control this leg, right? If you're going and playing single leg X on this leg. So by him switching, that essentially allowed him to so he
Gain
played
control.
single leg X here, but by switching to this leg, it gave him already control of this leg. So he didn't have to try to establish it where before, let's see, before he has no control of that other leg. When he switches, he gets control and it immediately gives him that sweep. That was pretty slick. That was a hell of a series that he just did there.
Like as Cole stood up, he kind of missed that knee cut, did a little back step, but almost could have knee cut right through.
That was a smooth way to get close guard. Oh, that's slick. Wow. I thought Cole won that match. I forgot Kennedy won the match.
Not by much, one advantage.
Well, the guard pulling in the beginning was kind of weird, to be honest. I don't understand if if you guard pull and then if the person, my guess is maybe because he put his knee on the mat to begin with and then pulled guard, maybe that's why he got a call in there saying that you can't do that. That's not a good guard pull. Stand him up and give a penalty. Because, like, if that's the case, then Kennedy's advantage for coming up on the double guard pull, I think, should be taken away. If you're being penalized for doing the double guard pull, you should then the play negates everything forward from there. Does that make sense? Like,
Hmm.
if I double guard pull and then 30 seconds later you decide, okay, well, that's not a legit guard pull, stand him up, give a penalty. I'm okay with that, but like then for him coming up, he probably shouldn't get an advantage. It should probably negate the advantage that he got. I take the penalty. So then it would have been tied. I don't know. It's an interesting match because I mean, literally Cole's on his back in the last 5 seconds. I enjoyed the match. But let's do this. I'm gonna keep writing in my notepad, and since Andrew, you don't have a notepad. I want you to just tell me what you took away, like what you thought that you liked about that match, the positives, and I'll let you take the floor.
Okay, so I'm starting off here.
Yep.
Okay, good, because I got like 10 minutes. Okay. So, first thing I took away was, yeah, like what we were just talking about. That guard pulling off the bat was really interesting. They were like both definitely trying to pull guard first, and they were getting really, really low. Like they both wanted that guard pull first, and watching that, it's interesting to see and how they play so low like that. But another thing I noted, and it was a little hard to watch, it was coming through it like and lagging really bad, was that single leg X sweep where he went from holding single leg X on the right leg to switching to the left leg. I'm not sure if it was that way, if it was vice versa, but either way, it was an interesting switch that he did to use to gain control of the underhook on the other foot. So yeah, that was interesting. That's not something I regularly do. So maybe that's something I need to look into a little bit more. But yeah, other than that, it was a very interesting match. I am excited to rewatch the match when I can watch it with a little bit less lag.
I'm still finishing my notepad. So, Eric or Michael, if you guys have anything about the video.
Oh, I don't have any opinion about the video. It was chaotic to me. I'd have to watch it again.
That's what jiu-jitsu is chaos,
I
right?
liked it. I liked all the leg entanglements that go to leg entanglements. I'm a big fan of that. I love the inverting to guard recovery. That was pretty fancy. But yeah, that was just chaos, and I was driving when that started. So
Eric, you still got anything?
Yeah, I had to take a phone call from a very important customer when I was watching that, so I kind of got the
That's
beginning and
okay.
then the end there.
Business
Uh,
first.
I was curious about the penalties for the guard pulling and what comps allow what and where and how you can successfully pull that off without possibly getting penalized, or if it's just certain types tournaments that you can do that with. And I've noticed that a lot of people are coming in, it's either one person's pulling guard or maybe there's a double guard pull. So I have been working on that a lot in my gi in my when I'm training in the gi. So it's always good to see what that, but I was just curious about the penalties for that because you don't want to just be guard pulling, be getting penalized and penalized and then just losing because you were trying to work your game guard pulling. I noticed that when he got in there, he had underhooked that leg where it's more almost like a mantis guard or something, and then had the other butterfly hook in so that he could elevate him, he could extend him out while still controlling that one leg, which I think ultimately he was able to switch to the single leg X on the other side and was able to come up with this sweep. I really liked that. And then I did notice that a lot of times when we're in the gi pant grip down by that ankle cuff there, I feel like that's huge right there. Just being able to, straight arm and lock that leg away from you to help pass that guard and control their ability to get their base back and control their ability to regard. It kind of leaves them with one leg left to regard. And then so I like that. I've been trying to work that into my game as much as possible. But other than that, yeah, that's about it. I kind of missed some of that match, but
No, no worries. You guys can go back and watch this if you want, or even just watch the match anytime you want. Biggest thing is like if you could just take one detail and apply it to your game each week, you're going to have 52 techniques that you apply to your game outside of just regular classes if you make all the calls. So I took three things away from that match. The big one, of course, I really like the single leg X transition to the other leg, and I liked it just because I don't remember. I think it was episode 3 that we did on BJJ Boost, where we watched that guy break down all the different ways of like playing the different guards. I don't remember who it was, but we basically watched a video and he broke down multiple different competition matches and he emphasized how important it was to, if I'm attacking your left leg, that I really have to get control of your right leg. So, if you're playing single leg X, double leg X, like a lot of times you're trying to collect that free leg and they're trying to keep it away from you because that's kind of their last stability support from getting swept. So I really like the concept where Cole switched from single leg X to the one side to the other, and that gave him control of that leg that he didn't have to try to collect anymore. So many times when we're trying to sweep, we're like trying to reach for that opposite leg. And then once we get it, the sweep is easy. But to be able to switch from one guard to the other guard and already have that leg gave him the ability to constantly like offset Kennedy's base and then perform a sweep off that. I did like that. The other one that I really did like was, I don't know if you guys noticed, but when Cole was on top, he tried to do a really heavy backstep out of HQ. Typically, when I try to do a backstep out of HQ, I'm trying to stay like really low and I'm trying to like club their head, backstep over, and then like push their leg down. Does that make sense? You see this a lot where if you're in the headquarters, instead of knee cutting to the left, essentially, if my right leg's in, they'll try to backstep over. Well, a lot of times, if you don't do this right, the guy will wrestle up on you or they'll drive into you and put you on your butt. But the thing that I liked about Cole was, at least in this match, because I've seen him low back step pass, club the head, and then, kick the leg free and pass. But he was doing like an aggressively high back step. Like he was like almost taking his hip and trying to get it over Kennedy's head as he backstepped. And I think if you're sloppy with that and not aware, like that'll allow your opponent to turn into you and wrestle up real quick for a 2. But I think that Cole was so ready to hip switch and come up that if that didn't work, that the backstepping where you're trying to get above their head was kind of intriguing to me, that I would like to like analyze that and look into that, because backstepping low is really hard because you have to get down low, you have to get in the pocket, which gets more dangerous because the lower I am in the pocket, the more that triangles, arm bars, kimuras are all there. If I stand taller and I backstep higher up, the one thing I have to look for is the mistake of the wrestle up. But besides that, I'm essentially going to have the ability to be in a north-south or be in a back chase if I backstep that accordingly. So that's the one thing that I want to kind of look into this week, is doing like a higher, more reckless backstep over the head and seeing what I get from that. And then the only other thing that I really liked was when Cole sits on top, he does that Mikey squat. I don't know if you guys watch Mikey Musumeci when he plays top, but Cole did the same thing where he sits in this like really deep squat. It's intriguing because it makes it so hard for an opponent to get anything on you when you sit in that squat position. And I play it sometimes in the pocket, but Cole was playing it pretty far back where even Kennedy tried to push him over a few times and it didn't work. And the more that Kennedy kind of like thought that he could do something, it allowed Cole to kind of try to take another shot. But it's going to be so hard to pass these high level guard players that I think it's going to be a complete strategy war. And Michael, you kind of saw that yesterday when you and I rolled. Like a lot of times it's so frustrating because in the gi, these guys look for an advantage or they look for 2 points and then they're not going to do anything else. And like that can be frustrating, but like that's just the game. It sucks. It is what it is. But those guys are like looking at who can get to their game as fast as possible, knowing that both of them are guard players, and then immediately looking for like Kennedy had no desire to do anything until 2 points was scored on him. But in the beginning, when he had two advantages, he was just kind of taking his time and being chill. But once the 2 points was given up, now he knew that he had to start to do things. I'm still a little bit confused on the beginning, but the way that I look at it, if I was going to try to look at it from the IBJJF eyes of what they did, was the first guard pull I didn't see. I think the match starts and they both pull. My guess is they didn't like the way that Cole slid in. They stood him back up. They penalized him. The second time, the only thing that I can guess is that Cole dropped down to a knee. And in my experience with IBJJF, you can't ever drop down to a knee because you're a grounded opponent essentially. Cole put his knee on the mat and then he slid in and pulled guard, right? And my guess is whoever was watching footage in the back was like, it took so long for that to get back to the ref, and the ref finally was like, okay, you can't drop down to the knee to pull guard. You have to pull guard from the standing position because there was a match that I watched before where every time the guy dropped down to a knee to try to take a shot, he was penalized because it's kind of like cheating essentially. Like, who was it that throws fits all the time in competition? AJ Agazam.
Agazar.
Yeah, sorry.
Exactly.
I can't say his name right, but he always did the strategy where he would pull guard and then he would come up to a knee so that he could like shoot on you. And I think it's okay if you're playing guard to come up to a knee as like you're kind of still in a sitted guard where you could shoot on the guy. But if you're standing and both people are standing and no guard's been established, you can't put your knee on the mat to shoot or to pull guard. So that's my guess is that's why Cole was penalized. The thing that I don't understand that is if you're taking the match, like if you're penalized, you're taking the match back to where the sequence happened. And maybe I'm wrong in this. Kennedy shouldn't get the advantage for coming up on the guard pull. Whoever comes up on the guard pull, the double guard pull, gets an advantage. If Kennedy came up, got the advantage, then I think if they reset the match and penalize Cole for the guard pull, then it should eliminate Kennedy's penalty or advantage for coming up. Does that make sense? And maybe I'm wrong in there. Maybe things are exactly the way they should be, and maybe the match went exactly the way it should be. You can't put a knee down when you get double guard pull, and I think you have 30 seconds on a double guard pull for one person to come up or one person to execute something before both players are stood up and then both are penalized. And then I think the first penalty is nothing. The second penalty is an advantage. The third penalty is 2 points. And then the fourth penalty is you're DQ'd, which I've seen in the semifinals of the Worlds, both people DQ'd for double guard pulling. I think
And
that
then what
was,
happens?
huh?
And then what happens when they both get
So
disqualified?
yeah, um, I
Third
can't,
place gets first. What?
yeah, Levi, it was Levi that happened. If you want to look at the match, I don't remember what happened with the division, but Levi double guard pulled, I think in the semis until he was DQ'd. It might have been finals, but I think it was the semis. And he double guard pulled until he was DQ'd. So both players are out. And then I think it would be I got to think about how that match would be in the bracket. If both players were DQ'd there, then basically the other semis I think turns into the finals. So whoever wins of the other semis gets first, and then that person gets second, and then both of those guys, I guess, are just out. I don't know. It's crazy to think that you
All
would
the
get
rules and penalties are just confusing. I'm going to worry less about those, but a double card pull, I'll stand because I know I'll get two.
you
So
don't
I
get two,
won't
you
stay
get an
down.
advantage.
Okay.
So in
Well, I know
Fuji,
normally
yeah, in Fuji you get 2 points for coming up, and IBJJF you get the advantage for coming up on the double guard pull, which is still an
I'll
incredible thing. I mean, There's lots of times that I've double guard pulled, come up for the advantage, and won the match just off the advantage and playing smart.
I'm just expecting everybody to go ahead and pull guard. So if they don't, I'll kind of be surprised. So
Our division's a pretty heavy guard pulling division.
95 percentile.
Let's just do a quick like declare. What do you guys plan to just kind of work on this week in your game that you want to explore so that next week when we come back together, you can just say, okay, you know what? I worked on this in the last week, tried to improve on it. These are the positives and the negatives.
Setting up my guard pull without telegraphing it, but then also getting a tack or a sweep off the bat right away. I'm actually curious how you guys are pulling guard and what position you're looking to get into once you guys pull guard.
That's a good question.
I literally go right for ankles and shins up. So my guard pull looks kind of like a dummy sweep, but at the same time, it goes into my tripod and my under X, so or inside X, whatever Chad calls it.
So you're pulling, Michael, looking for a basic open guard with no guard or a shin guard. Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, I pull guard one of two ways. I kind of pull guard similar to that. So like I have aggressive guard pulling and I have passive guard pulling. Aggressive guard pulling is, and I guess I have two ways of aggressive guard pulling. One is I know the guy's not pulling guard on me. You know that the hardest part is you have to kind of decide whether that guy's going to pull guard on you or not pull guard on you. And then sometimes you don't know. If I feel like the person is going to pull guard on me or they're going to be a tough opponent, then a lot of times like I'm trying to race in immediately and kind of pull guard essentially like Cole pulled in that match where I'm allowing them to get a sleeve grip or I'm allowing myself to get a sleeve grip or a collar grip. And then I'm sliding in and I'm not even really necessarily caring if there's that chance of them landing and mount because the ability to kind of backward roll onto your shoulders to get their weight to go forward and then allowing your knee to slide in so that you can get a single leg X, double leg X, whatever. Typically, I don't run too much into people being able to stick the mount if they're looking for it compared to the momentum of me getting under them, connecting to them, and then being able to like play that short hook underneath or that single leg X or double leg X. So a lot of times I'm trying to like pull them over the top of me. So they're like basing or bracing themselves. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
I went
getting under them.
flying.
So that's a big one. Like if I can get my opponent to try to catch themselves or catch their posture or their base, then I know that I'm getting under their legs and connecting to them because more of their focus is not falling, not getting swept, not running their face into the mat. And that's allowing me to get connected into them. That was kind of a thing that Andrew Wiltie and I practiced a lot back in the day. Otherwise, if I'm noticing like they're not aggressive, they're not pulling guard, then I'm looking for any attachment, like their sleeve, and I'm making sure that they're not coming forward. That's a big one. Like I can't, if their momentum's going forward at all, I have to stop that momentum so that it doesn't look like they're shooting on me or that I don't allow them to shoot on me. So a lot of my like I'll frame on their collarbone with the gi, I'll control their wrist and I'll be pushing it down kind of into their crotch area so that they're not easily able to shoot on me. And then I'm gonna just sit backwards into an open guard and then I'll let go of the grip. Sometimes I'll keep the grip, but I'm confident in my guard game that as long as I get to guard, I don't necessarily care if there's an attachment or not. I just don't want to give up the 2 points when I pull guard, if that makes sense. I appreciate you guys being on this call. Hopefully you found some value in it. Hopefully, we'll keep running them and word of mouth will kind of, people will watch them and we'll get more people built up here one day and we'll get back to a 10-person call.
We're still having next Tuesday, even though we're in Florida, correct?
That's a good question, to be honest.
Because you mentioned it, so I was just verifying.
That is a good question. I could probably run the call off my phone, maybe.
I mean, I was going to bring my laptop and both my phones, so we can run it from my laptop if you need to.
Yeah, you know what? We'll try to run it in Florida. We'll run it by the pool.
Okay.
But
Are you guys both competing?
I'm not competing. Michael's competing. We got like 15 people going with us. The problem is we might not be able to run the call. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out because I think we're going to the beach on Tuesday. We're
Just say
gonna
it
do
would
it
be
from the
cool
beach.
to maybe view some of the matches that you guys are watch or you know Michael's match or whatever, just to kind of be cool, you know, just to see what's kind of going on that stage, that platform there.
You mean like record? I think he's gonna go Friday or Saturday. We'll try to record as much as we can. But we got to find shark teeth on Tuesday. So
Yeah. My mom's excited about that. She said I got to find 13 for the grandkids.
dude, we found 50 last time we went.
Wow.
It's funny. I told her I was going to go to the good shop and I was just going to buy them.
Well, you can do that. We're gonna go to a shark tooth shop, but
My
Mandy and
dad
I
did.
found 50 at this beach last like 2 years ago when we went. Did you know that sharks lose 50 to 100 teeth a day?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I learned that
ridiculous.
fact 2 years ago. Well, I appreciate you guys putting your time in, being on this call. We'll do a no-gi competition match next week. Well, maybe. If not
Maybe.
next week, we'll
Come
figure out
on.
my life really soon, I promise.
All right. Well, there's only 3 of us, so it's not that big of a commitment right now.
Well, I want it to be professional because I think when people watch it from the outside, it's like there's a Zoom call. I got this whole process from watching my coach. He does Zoom calls weekly, and even though 100 people show up weekly to his Zoom calls, he has anywhere from 500 to 1,000 people that consistently watch the replay every week. Even though it's like this, right? Like you guys are competitors, you guys compete, but there's a lot of people that don't want to compete that want to watch the content so that they can learn to be better in the room. So these calls are kind of the
I might
same
have
way.
to
Like you guys
again
are, huh?
I might have to fight Eric again someday. He's still winning.
Well, it's like there's people that they can't make these Zoom calls, but they are getting some kind of benefit from them. And you guys were kind of on the front line of these calls in the trenches, putting the
I
work,
love these.
putting your insight in, like learning, seeing new techniques, giving your feedback, and then other people are going to watch these and say, "Oh, hey, Michael pointed this out or noticed this or he said something about this in one of his competition matches once," and they're going to apply that to their game and it's going to help them. It's kind of neat to be on the front lines doing these calls that, one day there might be more people. And if not, then we'll just keep improving our technique and getting better at jiu-jitsu. All right, you guys have a good week. Michael, I might go to Decatur Saturday. There's a
Okay. Well, if you do,
50-50 chance.
know.
Huh?
Let me know. If you do, I'll try to make it and
Okay.
get down there. So,
Awesome. Well, you guys have a good week. Thanks for being on the
you too.
call.
Yeah,
Yep,
thanks.
no
You guys do have a good one.